Let's talk more about Star Trek Starfleet Academy and how it's actually performing. This article is from CBR.com. Star Trek's most controversial show of the decade fizzles out on streaming after just 4 days. Now, I would personally replace the word controversial with the word garbage. Anyway, would you look at that? Just 4 days and it's already on the decline. Where will it be by season's end? The third episode of the show has aired since this article was published. There are now just 7 more episodes to go in season 1 of Star Trek Starfleet Academy. It says, per Flix Patrol, Starfleet Academy quickly debuted at number 3 on Paramount Plus's top 10 TV shows in the United States chart on January 16th. Unfortunately, in the days that followed, it has been on a downward trajectory, quickly slipping to number 6 on January 17th and holding that spot on the 18th. It's experienced a similar fall in other territories, including the United Kingdom, where it went from number 3 to number 5 and later 10th. That's quite a drop in such a short period of time. 4 days later, on January 19th, it was already in 10th place in the US and dropped out of the charts on Paramount Plus globally. It's also worth noting that the series, despite being from a hugely popular sci-fi franchise, has not been able to top the charts. Certainly worth noting, but definitely not surprising. And yes, it's not just that the show is part of a big sci-fi franchise, a big pop culture icon with a massive fan base going back decades. It's also a very expensive show to make, and these streaming performances, in my opinion, just don't justify the kind of expense involved. And it's also worth noting that although the Rotten Tomatoes audience score has held steady at 43%, the IMDb score has dropped to 4.4 out of 10. The last time I reported on that, it was 4.9. And the Metacritic user score has slipped to just 1.7 out of 10. That's down from 2.1 the last time I reported on it. Now, these poor streaming performances and low audience scores are hardly surprising when you consider that when Paramount Plus streamed the pilot of the show on their YouTube channel, it only got a little over 1,300 live viewers or so. Considering the millions of dollars that episode would have cost to make, that's appallingly low. Those figures are terrible. Plenty of YouTubers get way better live streaming numbers than that, and they're just sitting in their bedrooms. Most people watched the first episode later because they didn't feel any urgency to watch it live when it was first released. And given how terrible that episode was, is it any wonder why the show slipped back in the streaming charts so quickly? Word of mouth isn't going to be kind to this show, and episode 3 was even worse than the first 2 episodes. Awful writing, dreadful dialogue, forgettable and cliched characters, logical inconsistencies galore, terrible plots, a generally joyless experience from these opening 3 episodes, in my view. Star Trek is done. Star Trek is just done. Let's be honest, it's had its day. Its glory days, its best days are very much behind it. And it now feels like it's just being driven into the ground. Let's take a look now at this article from geeksandgamers.com. Starfleet Academy viewership collapses as Kurtzman Trek implodes across streaming and YouTube. The numbers are in, and they are brutal. Starfleet Academy viewership is collapsing in real time, and no amount of access media spin can paper over what is shaping up to be one of the most embarrassing failures in modern Star Trek history. Yes, and the show has been described by many people, and I think this is an accurate comparison, as sort of the acolyte of the Star Trek franchise. In an apparent attempt to juice interest, Paramount released the Starfleet Academy premiere episode for free on YouTube. The strategy backfired spectacularly. 4 days after release, the episode has managed just 159,000 views. That number would be underwhelming for a mid-tier creator. For a flagship Hollywood IP with decades of brand equity behind it, it's laughable. Yeah, if Star Trek as a brand was in good health, if the franchise was at its best, if the studio had made a series that fans actually wanted to see, as opposed to this garbage, the first episode would have millions of views on YouTube by now, and would certainly be far higher up the streaming charts at this point. But consistently, over the last few years, the franchise has been in decline, creatively and also in terms of overall interest. Many of the recent productions in the franchise have not spoken to long-time hardcore fans. And when you look at something like Star Trek Section 31, one of the worst things I've ever watched. The first 2 seasons of Picard, dreadful. A lot of poor episodes in Strange New Worlds. And also the general low quality of Star Trek Discovery, a show that I'm just astounded it ran for 5 seasons. You put all that together, it's not surprising that there was no real appetite for a new Star Trek show, let alone a show about Starfleet cadets in the Discovery era. It says, if the on-demand numbers were bad, the live premiere was even worse. The official Starfleet Academy YouTube premiere maxed out at roughly 1,300 concurrent viewers. We spoke about that. And here's the kicker. Despite being a major Star Trek launch, it never even reached #1 on Paramount Plus in the US during its opening window. For a franchise this big, that's the tell. The initial curiosity spike came, and then the audience evaporated. Yeah, I mean, it's incredible when you think about it, because back in the day, on the old UPN, the United Paramount Network, Star Trek Voyager and later Enterprise were among the network's top drama shows. They were major anchor series for that network. So Star Trek these days has really declined in its cultural significance, it seems. Also, I would add, the writers don't seem to know if they want this series to be a comedy or a young adult drama. And after just 3 episodes, to me, it feels like the show is yet to strike a balance between those two identities. The comedy isn't funny, and the drama just lacks any real meaningful impact. So there you go. That's going to do it for now. Looking forward to episode 4 next week. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the Dave Cullen Show channel. Remember to hit that notification bell to be notified of future updates. Hit that like button, share the video out there. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.